so you know my name. Um, Originally, I'm from here, Eastern Cape. My parents were born here. Um, not like Queenstown, but like my, my town is where my parents were born, like 15 minutes away from Queenstown. So it's like in the sea sky. The Asada, that's where my parents were born. So I'm originally from there, but I was born in Cape Town because they moved. I was born in Cape Town. I lived with I lived with my my grandmother, because my mother moved a lot because of work. Um, at some point, she relocated and permanently lived at Namibia. So yeah, so I stayed with my grandmother from primary, high school. Then my mother came back to Cape Town, so I now moved to my mother's house. So yeah, I was kind of, my grandmother was very emotionally unavailable. Um, and I grew up she was Christian, like very strong when it comes to Christianity. So I was kind of, for me, like I do get people when they say like they never understood, like, like they never understood that they never knew that they were queer. They only started realizing at a later stage that they actually are queer or gay. But for me, it's kind of different. I always knew from a very, very young age that I'm gay. I already knew, I already knew the vocabulary of who am I, why am I feeling this? Yeah, so I already knew that I was gay from a very young age. But I was very open, yeah, about it when I was young. Like I used to play with girls. We used to play this thing. I don't know what you skipping rope, but I prefer the name because we used to call it that. So yeah, we used to play that. I was very feminine, I was very open about it. I was very comfortable with my femininity. I was very open about it. Up until I think 11, 12 years. Then I started drawing back, being more, being more, I was in the closet. I started, being more, moving away from my femininity because from the comments I was getting from my community. Well, firstly from my family, then my community, because my grandmother was very homophobic. My uncle was very homophobic. So my uncles, they were very homophobic. So literally everyone in my family is transphobic, homophobic. So even now, even though I do think they know that I'm queer, but they just, I don't know, ignorant. Because for me, I've never really sit with them down and say, okay, hi, I'm gay. So they don't know from me. Like I never really told them that I'm gay, but I think they know. So yeah, I moved away from my femininity because, as I said to you, I would literally go to church every Sunday and listen to people. Like, I was not like literally listen to people saying that homosexuality is a sin, like every Sunday. And it's funny, like it's crazy because I enjoyed that space. I enjoyed church. Like that was my I was very, that was my happy place until at a until a certain point where I kind of felt like I was losing a part of me. Like I was starting to become so disconnected to the church. But I actually noticed that recently, that I was disconnected from the church and of God. Like I still had a very, very, very strong relationship with God. But my grandmother, I think, didn't understand that. It's literally, it's crazy how Christianity like has brainwashed our people to a point that they think the church is, I don't know, God, like Christian, the ideology of Christianity, that's like God. We worship the idea Christianity and not God. So I realized that recently, that my grandmother, not my grandmother, but like generally the people there, I don't, maybe this is, maybe I'm wrong, but like I felt like they were worshipping the idea of Christianity, and that was not me. Now I was so connected to, I felt like I was so connected to God and not, the church Christianity. And so, yeah, I felt like I was dying more in church because I would go there and listen to people preaching about homosexuality as a sin. Then I went back to the closet. I was in a closet for basically my whole high school. I was not out my whole high school. I was very masculine because that's what my uncles, well, my uncles are typical Xhosa men. So and you have to act like one. So I became more masculine, and yeah, I was actually your typical Xhosa like man. I was very I was performing. Did you say that I was performing?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I was performing the idea of how to, performing masculinity. Yeah, what else? I don't know.
What is your symbol of femininity?
Can I? Yo, wait. There's. I think I missed some really important thing. So after high school, that is when I actually. It's crazy. Like how I kind of was now turning to. I became more comfortable in my femininity. That I think that's also why my performances, the performances that I do, are looking at particularly women, like not women, but like there's like a sort of femininity that I kind of lean towards when I perform when I do my performances, because for so long I've been yearning for that femininity, that for that energy that I had when I was young and very comfortable in my femininity, very open about it. So I think I was very much yearning for that, and that's why I kind of, there's like an element of that in the performances that I do, because I've come to like realize like, oh, I understand femininity as some sort of resistance, some sort of you know, reclaiming myself, reclaiming myself. And I kind of use femininity as some sort of activism, to transgress a lot of people, because people really see femininity as weakness, and I really don't see femininity as weakness. Like, that's my strongest. Like, when I'm feminine, I like when I'm attached with my femininity, I think that's my strongest point. And also, like, I'm realizing a lot of things, um and now I'm kind of moving out, like moving to my spirituality. um in my family, like my ancestors, well, my family is like, I'm from a family of like strong women. Like, them, like, we don't have like people, people who rule the family. Like, my family is mostly ruled by women. It was like even prior to my grandmother's generation. Like, people who used to, be traditional healers in my bloodline were mostly women, like Ogogo. Like, we really had like Ogogo who were very much in charge, in control of the tribe, my clan, not tribe, my clan. So my clan was mostly ruled by women. So I'm from a family with really strong women, and I see now, like, I very much see it now, because even I think my grandmother also, um, her children are like mostly like women. Like, my aunts, she only has like you know, one son and five females. So yeah, my family was very much ruled by femininity, um, and that's why I say, because even the ancestors, like the ancestor that is kind of, I don't know, Olumatile, or has like manifested in me, is ugogo, like a woman. The 12, basically. I don't have, like, the person who has manifested in me is not, well, there are two people who are really leading, um, you know, who has like calling me to this thing. So umkhulu nogogo. So, but the one who is actually um calling me, well, I'm being called by two people, but the one who is in charge is a woman, ugogo, from my great grandfather's side. So my great grandfather's sister is the one who's in charge, who is calling me. So ugogo. So it's really interesting that I even even spiritually, there's some sort of feminine, like, spiritually connecting it to, like, connecting it to my family, like my bloodline. The person who is calling me is a woman. So, like, the person who's in charge of my spiritual calling is like a woman. So this thing of femininity, like, woman being in charge, also extends into the spiritual realm in my bloodline. The people who kind of in charge, even are still women even after death. In my family, like, women are still in charge of calling people. So it's really interesting how this feminine energy extends even to the ancestral realm, like inkundla umabandla sekhaya. So yeah, what else? I've been talking. What's your next question?
Symbol.
Symbol. Oh yes. You know, we used to have that thing. I don't know if it counts as a symbol, but like when I was growing up, I used to play with this. Well, I used to make like take I used to call it my house. Like I would cut some furniture's bed and like paste it in my in my on my book and kind of create some kind of house. Do you know that?
Like we used to call
What?
them paper dolls.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts as a symbol. Yeah, I used to play with that, and
Right.
they really know that I love my family. I really love my family. I think I'm understanding it. Like I've becoming, I don't know. I understand. I've become like I'm becoming more understanding. I don't know how to, if that's the right word. Well, yeah, I love my family very much. But I feel like I'm still being haunted. Like my childhood is still haunting me. So, oh, I was talking about that paper and Tonton. They kind of
Was your
forced
form
me to,
of escapism?
yeah, yeah, you know, it was really some form of, yeah, really expressing myself. They forced me to stop playing with that. One of my uncles, like, he literally, like, took it away. And while he was doing that, he shouted at me and said some really, yeah, some very hurtful things. Um, I think that's when I stopped playing with that, and that's when I started being more masculine.